Hey, beautiful souls. I'm Colleen, and this is the Hair Healer Podcast. On my show, my guests and I untangle our web of relationships as children, partners, employees, parents, and strip away the labels that define our identity. On each episode, my guests and I open our souls and start a dialogue in order to span this gap, create a spiritual bond, and cultivate deep interpersonal connections. Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is still part of the Hair Healer Podcast Kambo special, but this is the bonus episode. First of all, I want to say thank you. I released the Kambo episode on Monday, and it was a huge success. Thank you for everyone who went out and listened to it. Thank you for everyone who went to my YouTube channel and watched the video. Oh my God. I still can't believe I put that out there like that for the world. I've never let two women see me like that, let alone an entire world. Now, yes, you guys weren't there the entire 4 hours, but you saw some pretty crazy sides of me. There was even a little boob slip. I was going to use that to get people to look at it, but it wasn't a really cute boob slip if you watched it. It came after I threw up. But it just shows the rawness of the moment and how when you're in that and you're fighting off all of those uncomfortableness in your body, in your emotions, in your energy, you just don't care, right? You go into a whole different realm, which is really, really cool. So let me talk about this bonus episode real quick. The next day after Kambo, the last day in Florida, we went out to eat at a restaurant. I cannot remember what it's called, but we say it in the episode. And Julian was my waiter. And of course, I didn't traditionally get the last 9 dots where they normally do it, usually on the side of the arm, but I got it on the forearm where I have a lot of energy portals, I like to say, from tattoos I've gotten, like energy tattoos. It's a really important arm, so I wanted it to be there right above my dad's handwriting. And so you could see it more. And we went out to eat, and the waiter instantly was like, he looked down, and I feel like people probably thought it was like drugs or something. And he said, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Is that Kambo? And I was like, yeah, how do you know? No one barely even knows what this is. And he had said, well, I've done Kambo before and I'm about to go do ayahuasca in a couple weekends. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe we're meeting. Of course, I'm at the Kambo alignment, and that aligned my spirit and my energy. And the first person I met or talked to had done Kambo. And we exchanged numbers, Instagrams, whatever. And I said, I instantly knew I was meant to do an episode with Julian. So it's a really good episode. He has a great perspective as to why he decided to go the plant medicine route, what it's done for him, where he was before, how he is after, what his future journey is with it, and why a lot of us should be a little more open-minded to the plant medicine route. Now, if you are in the South Florida area and you are interested in Kambo, doing Kambo, the benefits of Kambo, please hit up my girl, Liz. Her website is www.earthangelliz.com. She is my medicine woman and the shaman from my episode that was released on Monday. Check that out. You absolutely want to check it out. You can hear her talk all about how she administers Kambo and all about the benefits of Kambo. But please check her out if you're in the South Florida area. I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, anything you want to reach out, if you have a story for the Hair Healer Podcast, please reach out to me. The Hair Healer Podcast at yahoo.com. Follow me on Facebook, The Hair Healer Podcast. Follow me on Instagram at The Hair Healer 1111. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, send this to a friend. Thank you everyone for the support. And remember, season 2 starts at the beginning of January. Yay. As you've been watching me on social media, I've already recorded 10 episodes for the beginning of season 2. So I'm super excited. I'm now booking interviews for 2021. So again, if you feel like you have a story to bring onto the Hair Healer Podcast, please email me, thehairhealerpodcast at yahoo.com. Looking forward to hearing from all of you. Now let's jump into this episode. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hair Healer Podcast. I hope everyone's doing well, and let me introduce my next guest. So this is exciting. This is part of the Kambo experience that I dropped, the Hair Healer Kambo experience, and I met Julian Perrone. I said it right?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. When I was down in Florida, he is from Fort Lauderdale, Coral Springs area. And on day 3, now if you guys are listening to this episode now, if you listen to in order, you just listened to my entire Kambo experience while I was in Florida, everything that went down. This is an extra bonus episode with it. So Nikki and I went out to eat the last day in Florida, the next day after Kambo, and I just really needed a good steak. And I think we searched a few places in Coral Springs. That's where it ended up being. And we went to this restaurant. What was the restaurant called?
Black Bear Brewing Company.
What is
Big
it?
Bear.
Big Bear. Big Bear and Company.
Yeah.
And Julian was our waiter. And so it's funny, I got the 3rd Kambo session on the inside of my arm, which a lot of people do not. And he actually noticed it. He looked over and it kind of weirdly looked like I mean, I don't know, for people who aren't educated with it, they thought it was track marks. Or I've even had people that have seen the scars are like, are those track marks? I'm like, no. And he looked right down and he was like, excuse me, I think you were like, can I ask you? And you were like, is that Kambo? Did you do Kambo? I'm like, oh my God, what are the chances? How do you know about this? No one knows. And I just did it. And we went on. And then we just started talking. Do you remember that moment?
I do. I remember it like perfectly. In fact, it wasn't even that I noticed the Kambo. It was more that like I was checking your tattoos out.
Okay.
I noticed your tattoos, and then I forget who you had with you.
Oh, Nikki.
I know her. Yeah. So I saw Nikki's tattoos, and she had these like really cool like alchemy tattoos.
Yeah, she's got a lot of cool tattoos. Yeah.
And I just saw like all this like trippy stuff.
There was a lot going on at our table.
my whole life is like revolves around, and I'm like, I asked about the one tattoo on your arm, and it just so happened to be where the Kambo was. And the second I saw the Kambo pins, I was like, Kambo! What's going on here?
And I was shocked.
It was really cool.
I was shocked, and no one knew. And I don't even know how we decided to have you on the episode. Whether I said you had a lot of stuff, and I was just like, yeah, let me look you up. Like that would be cool. Like let's do this. And then as we were developing this, and I was developing season 2, I said, oh my God, I'm not going to have him on season 2. I'm going to have him with this Kambo experience because you yourself have done Kambo. Right. So I want to add someone else's experience. Now let's start with this question. Why did you do Kambo in the first place? What were you looking for? Where were you at in life?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because, in a way, like I didn't even really find Kambo. Kambo kind of found me.
Wow. Yeah. So, yes. Kambo found me.
Yeah. Like everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a firm believer, like everything in your life, good or bad, it always happens exactly how it's happened. Like
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So it was back in last year, November, my dad died of leukemia.
Okay. Oh wow. Last November?
Yeah, last November.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And for a long time I had researched doing ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And I just had this kind of like strange relationship for years. I researched and I always asked myself, like, is this something that like I want to do? Like, is this something that I have to do? And I always came to the answer was yes. And my dad dying, I told him right before he died, and it was a shock to me. Like he had leukemia and I knew it was a possibility, but the way everything happened so quickly.
Yeah.
I just ended up telling him beforehand, and it was so clear to me that I hit a new chapter in my life that I had to do it. Wow. And it was like the timing was perfect. Everything lined up, like the stars lined up perfectly.
Like your soul was ready to just knew that you were ready to go into that new transformative space.
Exactly. So, bridging to the Kambo thing, I had been looking up, I found this amazing place in Orlando that, it's a church. And they work with the medicine, and they're it's Soul Quest Church of Mother Earth,
okay.
Ayahuasca Church of Mother Earth.
Okay.
And I researched it. I was like, okay, I'm going to book a date. And
this is before Kambo. So you did ayahuasca before Kambo?
Well, I actually did them in the same weekend.
Oh wow!
I did it the same. Yeah.
Damn, I thought I was a badass doing 3 sessions of Kambo. Didn't add ayahuasca onto that. So okay, continue.
Yeah, it was. The experiences were completely different. But what was funny about it is I had researched Kambo before, and I knew what Kambo was, and I kind of forgot about it for a while. And then the ayahuasca thing came, and I was going to do that, and my dad's best friend, like best friend, me and him started after my dad passed away. We grew this like very close bond, and we got much closer and much more personal, and like we actually have so many things in common. And it was funny because I've known this guy for years, And like, just because my dad was there, we had a different dynamic. And now it's just me and him. And we've grown like a much more personal relationship. And he asked me about Kambo, and I had forgotten what it was. And he was like, yeah, it's like kind of like this frog poison thing.
I know, because you're like, oh yeah, just a little frog poison.
It's like worst pitch ever.
I know.
And he's like, yeah, your joints feel like so rejuvenated. You feel like you got like a fresh oil change.
Wow, yeah, it's a good way to put that.
And that's how he described it. So I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I might do it. And like, from that point, talking to him, I was going about my week and I just kept coming up. Like Kambo just kept coming up like a synchronicity.
Wow. Yes.
So it was like I think I watched like a YouTube video came up, and then like I ran into somebody who was talking about Kambo just randomly. And
that's not something I have not, you're the first person I've heard that's even has experienced this. So yeah, that's not something you randomly hear. Yes, that was the universe.
Weird shit happens to me all the time. So,
because you're open to it.
I just keep seeing these like overlying themes, and I went to go sign up to do my ayahuasca experience. And when you go down the page, you get to like pick certain options of what you're going to have for the weekend, like your lodging, and like if you want to participate in a daytime ceremony. And sure enough, when I went to go sign up, there was a Kambo ceremony there. And I had no idea that they were offering Kambo.
Wow.
And it was like one of those situations where sometimes you feel so disconnected from like, everything else, living your work life and your family life and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kept hearing Kambo. And then sure enough, like this super important weekend was coming up. It was like a sign from the universe, like, okay, maybe this is something that you need to do.
So you clicked Kambo.
And Kambo found me.
And Kambo found you. Now, did you, because something I did not do, and I purposely didn't do it on purpose, is like, I knew what I knew from Liz, who was my Kambo practitioner, and we've been friends for many years, but I didn't actually really look into what physically I would feel like, because I didn't want to know. I just wanted to have no expectations. Did you look that up before?
I knew what was up.
Okay, I didn't really know that. I was like, oh, it's great, whatever, here we go.
It was kind of like going to like, I don't know, like Orlando, like Disney World, going on the craziest ride that they have. Like, you're waiting in line, you're like, oh my God, am I gonna die?
Yes,
on this
I knew it was crazy, but I didn't really realize how crazy or how intense the energetic withdrawal, right? That's what I like to call it.
Highly intense.
So tell me your experience with it when you first sat with Kambo. What was it like when you got there? When you first, how'd you feel?
It was really cool. It was really cool because honestly, I got to have a very personal ceremony with my best friend.
Okay, wow.
And when I had gone there was, I don't know, maybe like 15, 20 people who signed up to do Kambo. And pretty much they had like 3 slots on pretty much the last day of the weekend. And you could do the morning, you could do like kind of like lunchtime, or you could do nighttime. And everybody had filled up for the morning. And I looked at me and my friend Mike, and I was like, dude, if we do the lunchtime, like it'll just be me and you. It'll be like a very personal thing. So we ended up having like kind of our own, 2-person ceremony, and I got to watch.
So who went first? So you guys went together?
Yeah, we did it at the same time.
So I just had Nikki watching and filming me and they just watched me in their purge and suffer.
Right.
So how was that? What were you doing? Did you guys look at each other? I couldn't imagine if like Nikki was doing it at the same time as me. I could not imagine.
Well, I did 5 points of Kambo at once on my shoulder, actually, because I guess the way it was explained to me, because the shoulder is like just in line with your heart.
Yeah.
It like directly worked with the heart chakra.
Yeah.
And then we had some people that were administering it on the base of their spine to activate their root chakra and fire energy up their whole spine pretty much. But like, if you go down that road, there's no going back.
So I did all three. I did on the ankle, and then I did on the back, but I did my sacral chakra all in a session, all back to back. And then instead of doing the upper arm aligned with that, I actually did down here on the forearm where you had seen the 9 points there, just because that's like my energy spot, my energy point, that energy point. So what was when you finished, how did you feel? What did you feel?
Well, it was funny because I did the 5 points. My friend did 8 points.
Yeah.
And I mean, as soon as I got the first pin, I call him pin because it's kind of like a pinhead. I just got this really warm sensation, and it kind of like
feels good for like 1 second.
I was on my knees, kind of like in like a prayer position, just because you're like, you have this purge bucket in front of you. And my Kambo instructor was telling me like, it's better to be in that position because you're trying to get the stuff out of your body. So, we drank like 2.5 liters of water, like in 15 minutes right before doing it. And then he gave the 5 points, and it just started it was almost like waves. So it was like, whoosh, and you get this like warm sort of tingly sensation. And then it just gradually gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And before you know it, you're like, oh God, I'm kind of sick right now. So you start spinning a little bit. And I had a friend of mine, Matthew, who I had met there that weekend, was like playing the didgeridoo.
What's that?
And it's this long instrument. It's like a very hippie sort of instrument.
Wait, okay, I know. Okay, yes.
Yeah. So makes this like blah sort of sound. So he was playing the didgeridoo, and my coach and my Kambo administrator was like hitting this drum and like doing this ritual. And we had a smoke cleanse, a sage cleanse, like right beforehand. And I had a full bucket. Literally, I had never thought I would ever fill as much liquid up in this purge bucket as I did, but it had to have been like, it looked like a gallon.
Wow.
And it was the most neon green, oily.
It's crazy what's in there, right?
These like crazy specks of things, and you're like, holy shit, was that in my body?
Yeah.
So really, I was prepared to go through the ringer.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I was like, please don't let my face like blow up into a frog face. It didn't happen to me, but my friend, he like turned into a frog for like 6 hours. So
the peptides, I remember second round, I went in to go to the bathroom, and I looked up and I was like, did I just fucking turn 90 years old? Is this what I'm going to look like at 90? You know what I mean? It's weird. It's the peptides that makes your entire skin and body change like that. Your skin change like that.
Yeah.
But yours didn't?
I mean, I like swole up a little bit, but it was more like a whole body thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like my face didn't really like take on it too much. And if it did, it kind of went away pretty quickly. But that being said, my body, like, I'm a bigger dude and I carry a lot of like muscle mass and just like general body weight. So I tend to have like a higher tolerance for things. So, I did five Kambo points for my first ceremony, and I've only had one.
Yeah.
Planning on doing the second one. But I was playing it safe because it was the first time I had done ayahuasca, and I did 3 ceremonies that weekend. So I was like, okay, Kambo, and then we're out. And
so you went from Kambo. So when you when you were doing the Kambo, when you were there, did you get downloads during, after, the next day? Like psychic downloads, how did that come? Did you get while you were in the ceremony? Did any come for you?
It was just, I get like, I kind of already get them.
Yes, me
but
too. Yeah, but even more like
the week afterwards, it was like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I could go like 15 minutes and be like, oh, synchronicity.
Yes, and I was and hearing people talk, and it was just like it was like a clear portal from the mind, the mind, body, and soul to the upper world, right? To the source. It was like this, and it felt like almost like from my crown chakra straight through was just a beautiful like white hole.
That's awesome.
Is that what it felt like for you? Kind of sounds like that, like you're just open to receiving after all that energy stuff is cleared out of you.
Yeah, I mean, really more than anything, I kind of give ayahuasca a little more credit for like the intuitive downloads and just like catching on to this like seeing through the veil sort of thing.
Okay, for you. So what?
Go ahead. The Kambo was just a much more physical thing for me.
Yes, yeah. For me, very physical, but I also felt right away like just the connection to source was just easy. I felt like fucking Miss Cleo, on steroids. That's why I just was like so open when all that clutter, when all that energetic clutter isn't stuck to you.
Bust out the crystal ball.
The crystal ball, and I was ready. So you went from Kambo. You took a break, and then the next day you did ayahuasca. That night you did ayahuasca.
Actually, Kambo was the last thing that I did.
Oh, so you did Kambo last?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would have thought first.
I did 3 ceremonies of ayahuasca over 2 days.
Okay.
And it was like night, morning, night, and then Kambo the next day.
Okay, so let's talk then about. That's interesting. I thought you did Kambo first, and then did the ayahuasca cleanse, and then. So you had never done ayahuasca, right? You just jumped right into. Never had done it. I know I've not done it yet, but I will be by next year. We'll have done it. So what did you know about it? What did you think about it? And what was your purpose to do that? You just wanted to see these things inside of you?
Well, for a long time, basically my whole life, I've been on this sort of path where like, you don't necessarily know what your objective is.
Yeah.
But you just kind of like run into these situations and they come off as challenges at first, but looking back, like I'm a truth seeker at my core.
Same. Like, yes.
I'm looking for the freaking keys to the universe. Like I want to know it all.
Yeah.
And as a young child, I always I grew up in a very Seventh-day Adventist family.
Okay.
Like everybody I have a huge family and they're all Christian, Seventh-day Adventist Christians. And just as a child, like, you'd be in church and it's like, well, I don't necessarily hear God. Like, is there a God?
Yeah.
If he is there, does he care?
Did you grow up Catholic?
Seventh-day Adventist Christian.
Oh, wait, duh. That's what you said. Duh. Seventh-day Advent. Oh.
Yeah. So they practice the Sabbath on a Friday night to Saturday night. So it's like the original Sabbath. They're much closer to like traditional Jews.
I was going to say Judaism. That's the set. Yeah. Okay.
So, I just had this truth seeking inside of me. And I wanted to know, like, how am I living in a reality where aliens exist and Bigfoot exists and chakras exists? And God exists. And like everybody has this just little slice, like a perspective of something that's much bigger. You know what I mean? And I try to figure out how all these things can exist together in the grand scheme of things. And, when I was a teenager, I found out about ayahuasca. And I watched many documentaries and done a lot of research about the active ingredient in ayahuasca, which is dimethyltryptamine, or DMT for short. Yeah. And I came to the conclusion, everyone was nicknaming it the spirit molecule.
Yeah.
So there's something special about this particular molecule that is associated with these psychic visions, and people see angels, they see aliens, they see, like versions of themselves, like visibly, and some people say they see Mother Aya, which is like this divine feminine character that comes through and just like takes you kind of on this like Dante's Inferno. It's not always like a scary sort of thing, but it's a deep journey.
It's a deep journey
into your inner self. And
what did you see? So, what did you see for the first going in for your unexpected? Was it what you expected, didn't expect? Was it way more intense, less intense?
It's first and foremost, anybody who ever hears this, I'm just going to say right now, ayahuasca is probably like one of the most intense things that anybody could experience.
Yes.
So I actually don't even recommend it for everyone.
Oh, no. There's a lot not ready.
You have to really level with yourself about if it's something that's like speaking to you.
Yep.
So
it's not some fun little acid trip, or it's very intense and it shows you for people that are listening and don't know, it's not some sort of fun rave drug. It's a very intense spiritual ceremony and practice and deep, and you got to be ready.
People don't do it. No, it's really serious. Do it for fun.
No, I just want people listening to know, like, this is not a fun drug. This is like a very intense, self-aware, thing from the spirit, source, spirit, to see yourself.
Well, if you consider shitting your pants, throwing up, screaming, crying, having like multiple perspectives at the same time of fucking reality, then then maybe it's fun. But
so tell me about your multiple realities that you saw.
Well, it was funny because like Truth Seeker. So I've done all this research on quantum physics.
Yeah.
And there is, in quantum physics, there's an experiment. I forget what it was called now, but basically they came to the conclusion they were like shooting photons at this device, and the photon could only split left or right. And it would project an image on the back, in a certain pattern after they hit it so many times with this photon. And what they came to find out is that a particle can exist in two places at the same time. And this is like scientifically proven. People, go debate it with the...
I know, I just got into my own mind. When you said that, I just instantly went like, damn, and I started thinking of like 1,000 different ways. So go ahead. That's why I went,
Yeah, so the thing is, like, right now, we have to be right here in this moment. We're exactly where we need to be. If you're listening to this, you're exactly where you need to be in this very moment.
Absolutely.
But what's crazy about it is like I actually got an image of a crystal. And when you look at like these quartz crystals, these like clear quartz crystals, they have all these different jagged edges, and like they're almost like lenses. It's like if you could take your perspective, imagine your mind's eye is kind of like a petri dish shape. Well, it kind of like evolves into a crystal, and you can begin to look at reality in all these different angles that you've never seen before. And in my mind, it was kind of like, so to speak, teleportation.
So did you see yourself existing in other realities? Were you watching yourself exist in other realities, or just feeling it?
Okay, so here's how I could describe it. I could see myself, like in the moment, you're viewing exactly what's going on inside of yourself.
Yeah.
But I could also see myself in the future trying to describe what's going on in my head to like my girlfriend or my best friend or my mom.
Wow.
And I could see them
like going on in your head in that moment, or just other times in your life going
like points in the future.
Okay.
Like
wow.
It was almost like there's like water scrying.
Yeah.
Like Nostradamus saw the future by like staring at water.
Yeah.
Right. And he would say that like these visions would come up, and they're kind of like these wavy little visions of the future.
Wow.
And it's just kind of like a perspective on a point in time.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you about the ceremony because it kind of gives a little context to the whole point of this. That it was my fourth ceremony, my second time going to do a weekend of ayahuasca, right? So I actually got it as a birthday gift. I did not plan on going to do ayahuasca. I had always wanted to go back since my first weekend. And it was one of those things, again, the universe just like lines up perfectly and just slaps it in your face. And you're like, boom, you're going again.
Always.
And I prepare like a month out. So like I cut animal products out.
Oh, you do? I prepare like 2 weeks. That's a good idea for the next time. Okay.
Yeah. So the preparation, I cut animal products out. I tried to reduce like salt and sugar, no alcohol. I don't smoke. And I even went celibate a week out, which my girlfriend wasn't happy about. But
you did? You did? Why?
Because you have this energy field around you. And the thing is, if you are carrying outside influences inside of you, it can interfere with the real personal work. Yeah. And it's kind of like getting like turbulence on your, like if you're a receiver, you're getting turbulence on your feed. Yeah. Your intuitive feed. So you don't want to be mixing like your energy with other people's energy because it's such a personal thing. So, you know, some people, they're like, I don't care, whatever. And they just like go into it and they learn whatever they learn and it's perfect for them. But for me, it helps me get in the mindset because it's a very serious thing. Yes. It's an extremely serious thing. So, if you don't mind, the fourth ceremony.
No, please.
I didn't know. The first time that I went, I always was under the impression like you're not doing real ayahuasca or having a real DMT experience until you see aliens or angels.
I never heard that. Really?
Well, I mean, this was
that was your understanding of it.
That was my understanding because I had seen so many videos of people talking. And they're like, yeah, the Mother Mary came to me. Yeah. She showed me this vision of the future where the world has to make a decision whether it's going to be good or bad. Yeah. Or, you know, I saw aliens, freaking gray aliens showed up. And in my mind, like, okay, if I'm getting like DMT, this portal's going to open up and something's going to pop through. Something's going to pop through. Of just such a special divine intelligence. Yeah.
And which sometimes we got to remember, though, it's important, especially with DMT, that sometimes other entities that we don't want can come through too. So you protected yourself. That's
part of the preparation because I'm an avid meditator. Yeah. And I'm very spiritual and I'm very aware. Like I had a friend mess with the Ouija board and like
I know I don't mess with Ouija boards.
I saw him go through it and I was like, okay, I know exactly what I'm not messing with. So I'm like cognizant of that. Good. But going into this one ceremony, I had this just like, okay, the first weekend I went, I didn't see anything, but I got so much out of it. Like I learned so many lessons and went through these just internal experiences.
Like you just saw yourself, right? You just saw different.
Well, DMT is not even seeing. It's an experience.
The experience.
So imagine every single moment of your life. Like if you're hearing this, think about a time when you were 5. Think about like the first time you didn't turn in your homework and you're like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. Yeah. You know what I mean? Think about the first time you made love. Like every single experience of your life condensed into one drop of water and all you've ever known of living your life, you've experienced it as a drop of water. And then when you go and do ayahuasca, you learn what being a drop of water becoming the ocean is. Yeah. And it's like
it's a great way to describe that.
It's like getting plugged into this huge connected, like I personally connected to source. Yeah. Like directly to source. Like,
it's amazing.
5G. Yeah. Load me up.
Load me up.
A lot of the perspectives of my own, I saw through the eyes of so many different people I knew, people I didn't know. Like, I could literally see what they were experiencing
with you,
with me. And, you know, like, I could even see experiences that were not my experience at all, that were like past traumas of people. Like, say my mom had a really bad first breakup, and it was something that like hurt her so internally that she had an issue. Like, you could go and see and feel the pain that they went through in that moment. But you could also see the person that was doing that. And at the end of the day, like, there's a little piece of supreme divine being in all of us.
Yes, there is. Yes.
We always go back to the same place.
Yes, we do.
Which is the source.
Yeah.
So it's like, you begin to realize that there's a little piece of me in Colleen.
Yeah.
There's a little piece of Colleen in me.
Wow.
And like, we're all kind of one.
We are.
And when you begin to see from that perspective, like, there's people who are like angry and they lash out. And imagine going and hurting like a dog or something. Like, on the other side, you can begin to see that you're actually just hurting yourself, because there's a piece of you in that dog. So every single time, and these are all just examples.
Yeah,
like,
no, totally. I get, yes, absolutely.
Fuck you, animal abuse.
I know.
But, but like, that guy in the moment, like, kicks the dog in the ass, and he walks away, and he's like, stupid dog. And he could live out the rest of his life. And it's like, well, when's the karma going to come? When's the karma going to come? That guy needs to get his. And like, when he goes back to review all the experiences that he had, he's going to live that experience as the dog this time and see that he was actually just hurting himself. And he's going to have to re-experience that pain and see why it's wrong.
Wow.
So that is kind of like what ayahuasca does to you. And it's hard for you to like,
so what happened? Wait, what happened with the forced ceremony? I kept interrupting you.
Oh, yeah. So we'll go off on tangent. But so forced ceremony, I always go off on expectations. Yeah, no, that's the best way to do it. I had all these expectations. This time, I was like, I'm going to do more ayahuasca this time. Because I kind of got acquainted with it the first weekend. But this time, I was like, okay, I'm going to start at 2 tablespoons and then gradually increase and go to 3, which like 3 is like pretty deep.
Yeah.
The first time I did 1 and then 1, and then like I was going to do 1.5 and 1.5, but I got denied the second booster. So for ceremony, I had all these expectations. I was like, let me see something. And I went and did it. It was a Friday night. I did 2 tablespoons, and like, as soon as you drink the ayahuasca, there's this like knot in your throat. And it's like, you almost instantly want to throw it up, but they tell you like, you should sit up and make sure that you like get it down, because you want it to, get saturate your system. Make sure you get the chance to have it. And you sit there for like an hour and a half. You're like, is this thing ever going to kick in? Like,
and you're just sitting in ceremony, right?
You're sitting in ceremony. You're in total silence. The shaman, and I went, like, the ceremonies that I've done, there's like 80 people. So This is a huge group.
Wow, that's a lot of energies though to mix.
It's the most intense thing I've ever experienced. And like, all these people come together for the same reason. Like, we're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of spiritual pain.
Yeah.
So I'm in ceremony, and like, you got your guard up and you're ready for it to onset, and you're fighting the feeling of throwing up. And I got to a point where I threw up, right? It was like an hour in.
Oh, sorry, we had a little freeze. No, it's over Zoom, so it's just a little freeze. Keep going.
All right, cool. No, so, the trip began, and it, like, the thing that I was saying before, where your consciousness expands to these just multiple perspectives, like, you get so connected into source, and it was kind of like, hey, welcome back. And in that moment, I got this intuitive message, and here I am, like, I'm like expecting like serious life-changing messages.
Yeah.
Like, I need the goods. And the message that came through, there's like this voice, and it's like that I hear inside of myself, and it kind of like doesn't have, it's kind of like everything and nothing at the same time. It's just like a pure, just like direct message. And I was like, stop taking it so seriously.
Wow.
Like, stop taking life so seriously. And I was like preparing, meditating, like I cut all the stuff out of my diet.
Taking it serious, right?
And the thing was like, it kind of like, I began to see that, like, wherever you are right now, you're exactly where you need to be. And when you pass over to the other side, like, eventually we're all going to die.
We are.
And
yeah.
People are like, well, I'm going to go to heaven. I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to go to a black space and not exist anymore. And like, just have no consciousness whatsoever. And it's like, you kind of just like step through one door into the next door. And like, wherever you are there, that's exactly where you need to be. And it's a whole new experience. And you see the whole grand scheme of things from the other side.
So what you're saying is, what you learned in that moment is that, again, it's not that big of a deal, right? Everything works out the way it should work, and you're exactly in the moment you should be, and that things are planned out the way they should go. Divine timing. Yes. That's what you learned.
And to expand on that, that was the moment where I started to see these points in the future where I was telling people what's going through my head.
Wow.
And like them explaining, like, I could see myself telling them, like, okay, but you don't need to take life so seriously. And they'd be like, yeah, but, my boyfriend cheated on me. And I'd be like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is all kind of like a big virtual reality experience. And you're just here to like learn.
To learn and awaken.
The full-blown experience. And you're here, like, living a lifetime is like the spiritual gym.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to grow until you have a little resistance.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So that I kept seeing that I was telling people, okay, yeah, but. And then they always said, okay, but. And then the voice came through again, and it was like the most silly shit ever. And I was like, this is what ayahuasca is about. So the voice was like, well, everybody has a butt. And it was like, I saw a finger like point to my ass, like in my mind.
Yeah.
And it was like, everybody has a butt, and it's behind you. And what's a butt called? It's behind.
Yeah.
Like up behind. And it was like, all you really have is right now, this moment.
That's it.
The past doesn't exist anymore.
That's it.
It's just a point in time that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could get into like multiple times.
I know. Then we're going to go into a whole,
that goes to a whole crazy place. So.
And for people listening, ayahuasca, it's so personal that everyone's journey is so much. I have, I've heard stories with just like pure horror where people were in hell and in pure of their pain and their hell, and other ones, they were that and they were this. And so there's you don't know when you go there. Again, the purpose is for some sort of spiritual or awakening or purpose or something in you to heal. But you don't know. It could be something like that, or it could be super intense. It could be scary. It could be happy. It's whatever is shown to you.
That's correct.
And supposed to be shown to you. Now, how did you, because you said I picked up on you saying you felt, and I could hear you kind of choke up, you felt spiritually broken when you were in that moment with 80 other people, right? How did you feel after that? Did you feel spiritually repaired instantly over time? When did you notice? Like, did it just bring awareness? Like, what was that?
Well, when you had, first of all, this is the most interpersonal experience that you could ever have.
Yeah.
And then to know that 80 other people went through the exact same thing at the same time, it's like creating a relationship that will never be broken.
Yeah.
Like, you know how some people like go to war and like veterans, like they have this special bond that like they went through an experience that no one will ever be able to comprehend because only them, like that group went through it. And it was one of those things because like you really go through the freaking ringer. And, you know, when you do this like DMT experience, you kind of have this situation where like if you could go back and talk to, like if you, Colleen, could go back and talk to like the 8-year-old Colleen.
Which is funny you should say that because that's actually a question I ask on the end of every episode. So go ahead, what you were just going to say.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I have seen a few episodes. I've been.
Nice. Team Hair Healer. Thank you.
I loved season one. Season one was great. But
oh my God.
You know, if you could go back and speak to, like, I could see a hurt version of me. I could see myself as a young little boy.
Wow.
And, like, all just hurt and problems. And, like, there's a version of you that's deep inside of you. And, like, if you could just go to yourself and be like, dude, I love you so fucking much. You are a rock star and you don't even know how fucking beautiful you are.
Aww.
And like every time that you've been in a hard place in your life and you needed to hear someone tell you that exact thing to fix that inner hurt and like tell you exactly what you need to hear, you take that with you outside of your experience. And again, this DMT experience, you realize we are all one being. Like we're all just a bunch of cells inside of a body.
We're all the same. We're all,
you know what I mean? We all come together at the end. So, you know, there's people, you hear all these incredible stories from people. And throughout the weekend, you make these friendships and like you could see, like there was girls there who had been raped.
Wow.
There's Marines there that watched their friends get blown into like filet mignon.
Wow.
Like right in front of their eyes.
Wow.
Like shrapneled up. You know, I went there because my dad died.
Yeah.
There's people who go with all different kinds of problems and you get to learn their stories and like your heart hurts so deeply for them because in the moment, this is the most vulnerable you will ever be.
Ever. Yeah, that's fact. With Kambo, that was the most anyone's ever seen me. Any of these plant medicines, absolutely.
You are so raw and so vulnerable, no filters. People are getting just this pure soul energy out of you. And you go and connect with somebody on that level and you see that there's a piece of you inside there.
Wow.
And you begin to want to be that person who's like bringing each other up. And it's just this whole upward spiral effect. And for me personally, like the first weekend that I went, I actually got a message that I was kind of a shaman. Wow. And I don't say that as like,
but maybe that's a pathway that you need to start going down.
Well, that's kind of what I began to learn through multiple ceremonies, that's actually why I had a calling. And I do have a calling to do energy work with people and help heal people. And like, I don't even know what half of it means, but I learn more about myself every day. And it's just a super beautiful personal relationship that you have with yourself. And it's like every day there's something new.
That's cool. And you're just going to keep.
Coolest thing ever.
And it's like, this is just beginning, purging your own energy to help other people, right? And you're going to just keep going down this path. Now, do you think that what did you get? What was the biggest thing that you got from all of this? Kambo, ayahuasca, that experience, that weekend, what in your soul, what was the biggest thing you walked away with?
The biggest thing that I walked away with was that we are all writing a book. Your lifetime, it's a book.
Yeah.
There's chapters in it. there's lessons in it.
Yeah.
And we're running the show. Like, okay, getting back to the Seventh-day Adventist Christian thing.
Yeah.
There's a phrase in the Bible. It's we are made in the image of God.
Yeah.
Right. So even if we have just 1% of God or the source inside of us, like, you have all of creation inside of you.
Wow.
Which means you kind of are God in a way. But
we all are God, absolutely.
Not big G, you know what I mean?
No, not the big G.
You have to be humble, but like, you have this co-creative ability, and you can manifest things in your life, and it starts inside of you. And we're writing this book, and it's just this personal relationship where at the end of the book, it's the biggest plot twist that you could ever have.
I love that.
Like, Steven Spielberg, screw you, man. Like, whoever wrote Twilight, I forget her name. Like, you don't know how to write a love story. Like, we are writing the best love story ever created.
Love story to ourselves. Love story to ourselves.
You're beginning to learn how to fall in love with yourself over and over and over again for infinity.
Oh my God, Julian, that is. I gotta take that in. That's huge. We're writing our love story, our manifesting, that is amazing. Now we're getting to the end of the episode. Okay. So we don't need to ask you the question because we already know what you would say to little Julian, right? You would hug, you're a fucking rock star, little Julian.
I've met with him many times, and dude, we're rock star energy,
We're rock star energy. Now, what would you? No, I was going to ask you, what would you say to our listening audience right now? People are listening now are obviously piqued in some sort of way, whether how to find something new spiritually. What do you want to leave them with? Why should they even begin the spiritual journey? Not even necessarily got to jump into the plant medicines, but why should they begin this?
Because, at the end of the day, we all grew up having idols and just, superheroes, and like, I always loved Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I'm making the bodybuilding and like,
yeah, cool. Yeah.
So,
get to the choppa.
The thing is, like, you're writing a book. So why would you want to read somebody else's book? You are the superhero.
Wow.
You are the one. Neo, you're the one.
Yeah.
Like, every single one of us needs to come to that point where, like, you are the one. Yeah. You need to be the difference. Like, go change your life and make it what you want. Your soul's crying for it. And your ego will always get in the way.
Always.
And it'll always tell you, like, no, don't do that. It's not a safe move. But you need to trust that inner voice. And the thing is, the more that you build a personal relationship with that intuition and that connection to source, the more transformative your life will become. And you'll have this metamorphosis into this person that you always wanted to be. You never knew who you could be. And that's actually who you are.
Wow. Wow. What a message. What a message to leave the audience. And all of that, I think, you clearly had this perception before, but even more perception with that advice after having these experiences, right? These out-of-body experiences with Kambo, ayahuasca, all of that. You have a full journey ahead of you. And I can see you're much like me. We have agreed to walk this journey of self-awareness, right? Whatever that takes. And sort of like, and Virgo rising, Virgo sun, we become addicted to self-embetterment, especially self-embetterment of the mind, body, and soul.
That's so true.
110. Like, we strive on that. We thrive on that. All right. This is the end of the episode. Julian, you have been amazing. You are going to bring a lot of story of hope to people and like how to explore. Any last thoughts you want to say to the audience?
I'd never met you if you're listening to this, and I still love you.
Aww.
Like, I actually really love you.
Aw. And that's what you got, because we're sourced. We're all connected. We're all one.
Because you are I, and I am you, and I am.
And I am.
Oh, actually, one last thing.
Yeah.
Let me just leave this one last.
Yeah.
It's something I picked up in ayahuasca, and it comes back to that we are all one. When you say your name, like I am Julian, when you say Julian, that's like the name of my body.
Yeah.
When you say I am, that's the name of your soul.
Wow. Whew. Wow. Don't let me forget that. I got to write that down. I am. So the name is the body and I am is the soul, the source. Damn, you've dropped lots of hope bombs, Julian. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. For those listening, you are the source. Remember, say right now, I am, right? I am the source, the God, the loving. Thank you. This has been amazing, Julian. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being my waiter. Thank you for the divine connection, how we met. Thank you for coming to this episode. Thank you for everything. I think we'll be friends forever. I come down to Florida a lot. And we'll be Virgo self-aware friends forever.
It was a blessing.
Yes.
It was a blessing. It was all meant to be.
Always is. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please follow the Hair Healer podcast page on Facebook. Follow the Hair Healer 1111 on Instagram. And if you'd like to be on the show or have any questions, suggestions, anything, please email thehairhealerpodcast@yahoo.com. I love you. Have a fabulous week. Thank you and goodbye.